Well, anyone who traveled over Thanksgiving or tried to already knows winter arrived early this year. The nasty snowstorm that swept across the country left slick roads and accidents in its wake and led to hundreds of flight cancellations. It also has some predicting an unusually cold and snowy season ahead. So should you be stocking up on ice melt and fleece jackets? Here to separate facts from flaky forecasting is WGBH science editor Heather Goldstone. Welcome.
Good to be here.
So, fact or fiction?
I'm going to try to put your mind.
Almanacs and all those things.
Farmer's Almanac is calling for a rough one, but they're kind of out on their own on that, really. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, actually, it's not so much of a mild prediction as no prediction for a lot of the country coming from NOAA. But the prediction for New England at this point, and actually we can see this, is that it may be a little bit warmer than average here in New England, although it's only a 40% chance that it'll be warmer than average. So, you know, if somebody tells you it's 40% chance of rain, don't necessarily bank on it, but possibly warmer than average temperatures here in the Northeast, also down around Texas. Colder than average, again, probably only about a 30 to 40% chance of that in the plain states, and everywhere else they're not really sure. We don't have really a strong signal coming from any of the usual climate drivers to really give them a good handle on what's going to happen in terms of the temperatures. As you said, though, I mean, it's already been really cold. It's got people a little freaked out. And one thing that a lot of the climate kind of analysts have been looking at is the fact that really unusually, November set some records for cold temps, and we actually at this point are perhaps for the first time in 20 years going to have a year where we break more cold temperature records than we break hot temperature records. And that, like I said, we've had a trend going.
You have a graph that shows that, too.
We've had 20 or 30 years, really, of increasing the number of hot weather records that we break with the heat waves during the summer. That's what you'd expect with greenhouse gas warming. But it's not necessarily the end of climate change that we're having a year where we have more cold weather temperatures. It's really just in fact, I saw one person say it's actually just surprising that it hasn't happened yet. You just, with interannual variability, you see that sometimes.
All right. What about the thing that everybody cares about, which is
the
snow?
Yeah. The snow. Again, not a very strong prediction in either direction. Actually, no prediction. Equal chances of more than average, less than average, or about average here in New England. So, you know, take that as you may. We usually don't get much of our snow until January or February anyway. But by that point, El Nino is going to be maybe getting a little bit stronger, we think, and that actually could make for a drier spring. So we'll have to wait and see. But they are predicting a cold, snowy winter out in the Rockies. So if you're looking for your skiing, that's the place to go.
Yeah, so they can't really tell whether it's going to be more in 1 month, February is usually the heaviest.
Well, that's really, so a lot of what this forecasting is based on, especially we're not in a strong El Nino or La Nina right now, which is the Pacific Ocean temperatures that drives a lot of our weather. Without that strong signal there, they're kind of going on trends. And the trend is we usually see most of our snow in late January and into February. And so kind of based on that, that's what we'd expect to see again.
I like a little of it.
I love the snow. I just don't like the gray and the rain.
Yeah, right. All right, Heather, thanks so much. Heather will be back next week to talk about the latest trends in 3D printing. There's no doubt it's cool, but is it really a viable and efficient thing to do? We'll discuss that and the legal questions raised by machines capable of making weapons. That's next week here on Greater Boston.